Good afternoon. My name is Joelle Piercy. I am Safe and Sound Somerset's Community Outreach Coordinator. Thank you so much for being here today for this episode of Live at Lunch, Bringing Safety to Domestic Violence Survivors Through Legal Advocacy. I'm here with Safe and Sound Somerset's bilingual domestic violence legal advocate, Anna Mendez-Flores, who is a Juris Doctorate and part of our legal advocacy program. So thank you so much for being here, Anna.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So before we get started, it's important to note that although Anna does have a graduate degree in legal studies, she is not a licensed attorney and cannot provide anyone with legal advice. But we are looking forward to hearing about what she has to say about Safe and Sound Somerset's legal advocacy program. So Anna, can we start off by telling everyone a little bit about what legal advocacy is and what it does at Safe and Sound Somerset?
Sure. So our legal advocacy program is essentially a program that is dedicated to assisting victims and survivors of domestic violence through the court process when it comes to restraining orders. So anything from preparing a client for a restraining order hearing to explaining to a client what a restraining order is, to providing court accompaniment the day of the actual proceeding. That's what we do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I know we get a lot, when I'm out in the field presenting, we do get a lot of questions about restraining orders. Can you tell everyone a little bit about what a restraining order is and what it does?
Yeah, absolutely. So a restraining order essentially is a legal document that is meant to protect someone from abuse. We call that person the victim or the client, and so it's meant to protect them from further acts of domestic violence or of abuse.
Mm-hmm. How does it do that? How does it work to keep someone safe?
Sure. So if there is an incident of domestic violence, anyone in the community can go and file for a temporary restraining order. They can do so at the courthouse or the police station. Once they do obtain that restraining order or that protection, on the actual order, it will state that, the defendant or the person that's being accused cannot, come near that other person. So it sort of provides a stop to all communication.
Mm-hmm. I can imagine that it's a really emotional and difficult time for the people seeking the restraining orders.
Yeah, it definitely can be. I mean, it's definitely a very, complex process, but that's what we do here at Safe and Sound. And that's part of our legal advocacy team is to be able to assist and help, anyone that has a temporary restraining order through those difficult questions.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned court accompaniment. Can you tell me a little bit about what that means and the difference that it makes to the process?
Sure. So court accompaniment essentially is that we are able to come into the courtroom, with the client whenever they do have the hearing. Due to COVID, we have been virtual, and so it's been on Zoom or it's been, on the computer, but we are still given the permission from the court to be able to attend those hearings with the clients themselves. So before the hearing, I always call my clients and say, I'll be there, on the screen, you can see me, or I will be there in person with you. And that's just to provide more support for them.
Definitely. I can imagine just how important that support would be in that environment. What difference have you seen a restraining order make in someone's life?
So there's many differences that a restraining order can make in someone's life. But I do think that, especially when there are children involved or depending on the situation or the circumstances, a restraining order can really intervene, or it can really sort of put a stop to that cycle of abuse that we always talk about. And so it's important to know that you can, go and apply for the restraining order. And I've seen it make a difference in children's lives and in people that are trying to get out of that cycle of domestic violence and really start over, right? Look for a fresh start.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So as you said, it's really a form of intervention and a way to just provide a little bit of a pause and a moment of peace to kind of reflect and build safety again.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm. And so again, you've mentioned that it can be a bit of a longer process. I have heard some people say in the field when I'm doing presentations that the restraining order doesn't really do anything. It's just a piece of paper. How would you respond to someone who might say that?
Well, I've heard that many times. So yes, I've heard it too. And all I can say to that really is that, every case is seen differently. It's case by case. And the judges in every county throughout New Jersey, and especially here in Somerset County, will definitely try to assist the best way they can and listen to your story. That's really what's important here, is your story. And so although to someone it might just be a piece of paper, that piece of paper does come with a lot of protection, and it does, help that abuse from continuing. So I know that sometimes it's difficult to understand, but it does come with protection, and it can definitely help someone.
Mhm. And it also sounds like this is just one path to safety, right? Safety is so big and has so many different pieces, right? Do you find that clients often find it helpful to work with other parts of Safe and Sound Somerset programs?
Yeah, absolutely. I always encourage my clients. I think that our legal advocacy program is really important, but also, we do have counseling services that are available, and I do encourage all of my clients to come for counseling, because the counseling will help, someone emotionally, psychologically deal with everything that's going on. As far as the legal, we can only do so much, but as far as, healing and being able to move forward in a positive way, the counseling is really important. We also have a financial empowerment program that is amazing as well, and we are able to assist clients, with all sorts of resources. And all of that comes through our hotlines. So I'm sure,
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yeah. So it's important to note that this is one path to safety. We have a whole bunch of holistic programs that wrap around services that really provide um, a lot of different tools, right? Put tools in the toolbox for a survivor. And this is just one really important piece of that toolbox if this is the path that people wish, right?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. If someone is looking to get a restraining order, what steps should they take?
So if someone is looking to get a restraining order, there's two ways to go about doing that. So you can attend or go, excuse me, to the courthouse during normal business hours. So from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., they can go and file at the courthouse. Or if it's after those hours, they can go to their local police station and speak to an officer regarding what's going on. So depending on where they go, if they go to the courthouse, they will speak to a hearing officer, we call them, and they will listen to that person's, complaint or story or whatever it is, and then they'll make the decision as to whether or not to grant the temporary restraining order. And then if they go to the local police station, they will be meeting with an officer who will take, statements regarding what's going on. And then at the end of that, they will may or may not speak to a judge in order to be able to decide whether to get the restraining order or not. So it's a step-by-step process, but the courthouse or the police station.
Mm-hmm. Is it a one and done thing? Like if they're denied a restraining order at once, can they reapply?
So yes, they can reapply. In fact, if you are denied an application for a temporary restraining order, you do have the legal right to appeal that to a superior court judge. So if you're at the police station and the temporary restraining order is denied, you do have the right to ask that officer that you would like to speak to the superior court judge in order to appeal that decision. That is something that you can do.
I could imagine that for someone in crisis, these steps can feel overwhelming and be hard to remember and hard to think about. So when someone does call our hotline, kind of asking about some of this information, what first steps would you take with that individual?
So when they call the hotline, the first thing that I would want to look at is the restraining order. Once and before we do anything, we always go over our confidentiality policies with anyone who calls our hotline. And once we establish confidentiality, we go over the restraining order, and we get more information. I want to know exactly what happened. I want to know where you were the day that it happened. Some of those details that are really important for a restraining order hearing.
Mm-hmm. If someone talks to you about the legal advocacy program, do they have to go apply for a restraining order?
They do not. They do not. And it's important for everyone to know that you don't have to have a restraining order to call our hotline, and you don't have to have a restraining order to speak to a legal advocate. We also we can talk about different things, or if maybe there's an ongoing situation, we can provide supportive listening. We can speak to you about if it does come to a point where you do need to apply for a restraining order, we are there. We are available to speak to you through that process, and then even once you do get the order, we're there with you too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. This has, I feel like, just really given us a good inside look at the program and the work that you and the and Safe and Sound Somerset Legal Advocates do. If we could conclude, what message, based on the work that you do and what you see, what message of hope would you share with someone if they're watching this who might be experiencing domestic abuse?
Mm-hmm. So domestic abuse is very daunting. There's many things about it, right? And that's why we're here. That's why Safe and Sound Somerset is here. We're here to support you throughout the whole process. I know how daunting the court system can be. I know how daunting judges can be at times, but we're all here to help. There's always someone, at the other end of that phone. If you call our hotline, we're available 24/7, anytime, day or night. You can reach us, and we'll be there to provide that support. And if we can't help, we will point you in the direction of someone who can.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Anna, for joining us today and for providing us some of this information. For everyone watching, thank you for joining us. If you are interested in accessing our legal advocacy program, have questions about restraining orders, are interested in other information or any of our other programs, you can access our 24/7 call or text hotline, 866-685-1122. You can also find a whole range of information and safety planning tools on our website at www.safe-sound.org. Thank you again for listening. Remember, you deserve safety, you deserve respect, and love shouldn't hurt. And we're here to help. Healing begins here at Safe and Sound Somerset. So thank you so much again, Anna. Have a great afternoon.
You too.